Welcome to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes in the township, the village. You know, those government people that make regulations and laws that affect you out there.
That's right, Elgin. And whether you live in the village of Oxford, the village of Leonard, Oxford Township, or Addison Townships, these are the people that you elected, and the commissions and the committees that make decisions that directly affect you, whether you chose to go to that meeting or not. And that's why we're here.
Pretty much, except a couple other things.
A couple?
Yeah. Well, one thing which is primary is that you spread rumors that people don't listen. You gotta pick it up, during this session because.
But you got my back. You confirm them.
Yeah, pretty much I do. And the other thing is that you want to make sure that you attend these meetings because there is humor, and if you don't believe it, it's going to come back and it'll bite you eventually, right?
Absolutely. And sometimes, like cream, it floats to the top and.
Like
the
a
other side.
bowling ball,
The other side of the story.
The other side of the story, yes. Let's talk about several meetings that occurred last week. And one of them is the Addison Township Fire Department Administrative Board. The other one is the Oxford Township Planning Commission, which is always interesting. Todd Bell in charge of that. And also the Oxford Village Council. And that's always interesting, don't you think?
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's get on with it.
You got some hot ones.
I do, yep. There could be more in that little bag down there,
so let's
too.
start out with the fire.
Okay, we'll start with the fire. All right, we'll see if we can put the fire out. Addison Township Fire Administration Board. And Mark Smith is the chairperson. Pat Eisenhart is the vice chair. Secretary is Eugene Malaya. And Richard Rinke is on that board along with Robert DeWitt.
Oh, that's
Nice.
Malia.
Is it Malaya?
Yep.
Thank you. I was waiting for you to correct that.
I did.
You did. You came right in. Do you see how he chimes in? He keeps the young fella straight here.
B plus.
B plus, okay. Put it on top of that yellow stack you have over there. Okay. So anyway, so they, of course, went through the formalities. They went through the Pledge of Allegiance and, of course, read the minutes for November 15th and approved them. The fire chief then was the next one on the floor. Jerry Morowski is the fire chief. Does a great job out there for you folks in Addison Township, by the way. Have you ever viewed any of his budgetary
No, I
information?
haven't.
I'll tell you what, this guy.
That's what you do.
This guy does a great job in presenting, the fire department's budget, to the council or to the board.
And it's a talent making a budget.
It is
legible
very
to
much
the
so.
rest of the people.
Let me see now. I have these issues, and we have a lot more issues coming in here. How did that happen?
I have shortfalls and windfalls.
Yeah. And so he juggles these things. No, that's the wrong word. Maybe juggle. He does move these figures in. And no, that's not the other thing.
It only seems that way.
It seems that way, yeah. But anyway, he has the correct numbers. And he said for the year 2016, they had 615 calls, from the fire department. And in 2014, as a comparison, they had 619 calls.
How many were fires?
Well, I think about half of them were fires, and then EMTs,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
that kind of thing. Transports, people to the hospital, that kind of thing. So anyway, he keeps pretty close records on it. He did talk about the profit and loss, and
Profit and loss?
yeah, profit. Yeah, they actually have it on their scheduled budget, so he knows exactly where he's at, how much he's spent, how much he's
You mean
got
revenue
available.
and expense.
That's another word for it. You could do that.
Well, profit is the third item after
Yeah.
revenue and expense.
Well, there really is no real profit because, if you have excess money, where does it go? Who knows where it goes? But it has a tendency to dissipate. Or, in this case, what they do is they roll it over into the following year,
okay.
which is a good thing, right? So,
Other organizations should do that.
yeah. And there's a number of things, too, that Jerry has brought to the forefront that need to be done in the following year. But the chief said that they're going to be getting a new fire engine in 2017 sometime, but it is in the budget. So you folks don't have to worry about it. He's already planned for it, and it's there.
Put his pennies away over the years.
And here's the thing. He's negotiated with Rochester to the point that he's able to do a cooperative because they're going to get a fire engine also. So by getting,
2 for 1.
2 for 1 sale. Well, maybe not 2 for 1.
A BOGO.
They do
Buy
get a
one,
better.
get one free.
They do have a better value, of course, the more they buy. I
right.
said, well, why don't they order 12 of them? Really get a good buy. But no, they're going to get 2, I believe. One for Rochester and one here for Addison
Are
Township.
they going red or lime green?
I couldn't tell you that. They may change the color, but I think they're red right now.
Okay.
So they may want to change the color. I doubt it.
That was always a toss-up, I guess.
I think they'll stick with red more than likely. But you mentioned a while back that red is difficult to see in the dark.
It is, and that's one of the reasons they switched to lime green, and maybe the traditionalists said, I love my red.
Well, if they'd stop trying to save on electricity from the lights, and turn them on, maybe people could find, Addison Township, they have their lights on all the time, so it's not a problem. Red is good. Okay. Let me see. He says that also they are going to have a 10-year projected budget put together soon, which he'll review with the board as well.
A 10-year plan?
10-year plan.
Wow.
That's pretty good. They're looking out for a distance. You see that train a-coming, right?
I can't predict what's going to happen in 10 years. Can you?
Right. But apparently he has to do that in order to figure out, where they're going to be, if their engines are going to last that long, or if they need repairs and that kind of
Everything
thing.
has a lifetime there.
It does. Let me see. What else did he do? Oh, cost recovery fund. Remember we talked about that before. You know what that's used for?
Sure.
Actually, the insurance company established the rates pretty much, but
We'll turn the hydrant on when you pay up? No. No, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. No, you folks don't have to worry about that. Well, I don't think they have a lot of
But what do
in-ground
they do?
sprinkler systems.
Do they charge for EMT runs?
Yeah, there's a fee for it if they have to take you to the hospital. But then usually the insurance company will pick up the tab on it.
Okay, how about fires?
Fires, same thing. If you get a false alarm, somebody's got to pay for it.
All right, but if it's a regular alarm, do people pay for it?
I think I'm not sure. I couldn't answer that. Most cases I know of is that it's anticipated within the taxes that the community pays. Now, I do know that they assist other communities too.
Oh, right.
And I do know that those communities that are being assisted have to,
well, that's
be
only
billed
fair.
for.
That's only fair.
It is.
Yeah.
Except for where you live in Brandon. I think they just go to the nearest mud hole and throw mud on it. Isn't that what they do?
No, they don't.
No, they don't. Okay. I know they have water there because I hear the tide goes up every spring. But anyway, getting back to Addison Township, they don't quite have the problem that Brandon does. So, but they do pitch in and help Brandon too, by the way, because Brandon needs help. So that's what they do.
You have this fixation on Brandon. I don't know.
I do. I kind of do. I've been reading about them lately. So, but anyway, Addison Township has got their act together with Chief.
You're not going to put fertilizer in your lake?
Not fertilizer. They're going to put things in there, I think, that kill every other thing.
Sure.
People can't go into the pond until, maybe a week or so
The
later.
other things are dead.
Everything flows to the top. That's another subject. We'll have to get involved with that one at some point. But anyway, the chief said that there's some line items, changes. He said equipment and supplies in the budget is actually down. He said, so, he was not going to ask as much money, for the following year. Medical supplies, however, are up a little. So, yeah, and repair, apparently people are falling out of trees out there. They have no idea.
Oh.
But anyway, so medical supplies are going to go up just teensy-weensy. And maintenance for life packs is also, going to go up a little bit.
What's Life Pack?
Those are on the ambulances, and I think it's to do vital signs, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And, in other words, they kick you in the chest and
communicate with the
plug you
hospital,
in.
perhaps?
Yeah, they communicate with the hospital also. But anyway, so they said that there's a fund that they put in for Enbridge, just for the heck of it, because, they got a refund to Enbridge, and Enbridge Pipeline Company, they're looking to collect $30,000
Because
from Addison. And because,
from Addison,
right, and from the fire department as part of it. This is allocation.
from the fire department.
Yep. Because they were given monies, which they claim, Enbridge claims, as they do in other communities, that the infrastructure didn't meet the amount of money that was appropriated, by Enbridge.
Then why'd they give it to him?
Well, I'll give you money if you let me run this pipeline. Okay, it's a good deal. They run the pipeline. Oh,
we
guess
want it
what? We
back.
want our money back. That's the way it works. Well, let's talk more about that when we come back, right after this. Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kennedy.
And we are talking about what's going on with the fire department over there in Addison Township. Jerry Morowski being the fire chief, and he's submitting, what his budget is and his requirements for next year.
That's right.
All right.
And Enbridge wants their money back.
Right. They want, he's plugged in about $30,000 just in case. He doesn't plan on spending that amount. But he's also
Not
put
on
in.
that.
No. He's put in his budget also about $10,000 for training, that kind of thing, because it's an ongoing process.
Oh, sure.
For his firemen,
Fighting
firewomen.
fires and EMTs is a very technical
Right. You got it.
occupation.
Let me see what else he's got going here. Let me see. Carryover. Oh, there's a carryover from last year.
You were going to say karaoke
No.
for a second.
Monies that they didn't spend last year to the tune of $80,000. You folks will like that.
Wow.
That's gonna go into this year's budget. So that's pretty cool. Let me see. Line items, changes. Equipment, supplies are down. I pointed that. Let me see. Repairs, maintenance are down. Yeah, less maintenance now.
Oh, wow.
So that's good too. Let me see. Oh, the Enbridge thing.
They become
all
more
set.
efficient, or there's less to do? I don't
There's
know.
less to do, right. Computers. He says eventually we're going to have to change the computers.
Well, that's your old song.
Yeah. Well, they're running slower and slower. They can't keep up to the engines. So anyway. And besides that, the lines are short. They have to plug them in and they get a mile up the road and they disconnect.
Those two tin cans don't, quite do the job.
But anyway, Jerry knows what's needed, and eventually he's going to bring it forward to the board
good.
for consideration.
That's good. They do wear out, folks.
Right. There's a wage resolution also, 2.5% increase, except the fire chief and officers don't get the increase. It's going to be, pretty much the work ants out there. They're doing their stuff.
The worker bees.
People that are saving your lives every day out there. And by the way, make sure if you run into one of the fire department people at Addison Township, you be sure to thank them for the work that they're doing, because they're a great group.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me see. Public forum? Nobody. Okay. Methodist Church actually donated $2,000 for a dog for a local veteran. They need a special dog. So they donated that. As well as they donated $14,000 roughly for the Jaws of Life for Addison
The
Township.
dog was in a fire?
No, the dog
Was in the fire board?
Yeah, well, no, it's just mentioned, by the chief.
Okay.
That one of the things, that they provided was this grant for a dog, just for a human, companionship. Good idea. Okay, so that takes care of the fire department in Addison Township. Great job they're doing over there, and like I say thank you if you see them. Oxford Township Planning Commission meeting. That's headed up by Todd Bell, who's doing a great job out there. Jack Curtis serves on that board, as does Ed Hunwick, and Kelly Rossner Myers, as well as Mike Spiz, who's with the county.
Right.
And commissioner, and Mike Young. Did the Pledge of Allegiance, did the informal things, got them out of the way. Informal or formal? I think they're formal. Okay.
Pro formal.
Public, anything from the public? Nope, nothing from the public. Commissioners, let me see, Jack Curtis, he said that in 2016 there were 92 new constructions, which amounted to $34 million.
Oxford is growing.
It is growing. And you know what? I ran into some folks this weekend who I didn't know, but I got into a conversation with them, and I told them I was from Oxford, and their response to that was, that's a great area. It's really growing, isn't it?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was kind of neat
It
feedback.
only cost you $5?
Didn't cost me anything. Right. They're going to charge the township, but they won't pay. They're tight like everybody, like you.
And if you want to see evidence of growth, look up the hill from Myers towards the high school,
Yep.
and there's apartments all over the place there.
Yes. And I still think they need a Chuck E. Cheese here. I don't keep talking about that. Anyway, so that's pretty progressive. A lot of construction going on. They made an election of officers. Todd Bell was reelected for chair. And by the way, he made the comment that this would be his last term, that he's going to leave the Planning Commission.
Oh, leave it all together.
Yeah,
not
leave it
just
all
resign
together.
the presidency.
He's been on
Okay.
that board for a long time, and
He does a great job.
I'm going to hate to see him leave, because he does a great job. You're right. He knows how to run a meeting. The other person that said that they want to spend less time there was, let me see, who was that? Somebody. I'll get to him. Anyway, Mike Young took the vice chair, and Ed Hunwick, I'm not sure if he was there, but he was made secretary.
You're not there, you get voted in.
Right, well, he's a current secretary, so he just went
Oh,
ahead
yeah.
and went further with it. Public hearing involved with this was the industrial machine products on 32 Laux Street in Oxford. They wanted to rezone it, a vacant piece of property, and it's on the east side of M24, northeast of the corner of Church Street. They want to change it from R1, which is family residential single, to I2, which is general industrial. Now the purpose for that is they want to expand their plant. And
Does that place them next to a residence?
well, there are residents in there, and that was a concern too. They did discuss, what about the noise level? He said,
Sure.
well, they're using servo motors now instead of, what do they call them? Drive wheels, in order to build up the torque. And the way it works, the old system accumulates, I forget how many pounds per square inch, but it comes down, slams on the metal, and forms a,
Big flywheel?
that was the word I was looking for.
Thought you were.
Flywheel. Okay. What took you so long?
I just let it dangle there for a while.
Okay. But anyway, so it comes down at wham. It makes a lot of noise when it does
Yeah.
that in a stamping plant. And he said with the servo motor, he said the way it works is it generates all the power, all the energy, then it comes down within about less than a quarter of an inch and presses that into the metal. He said it's
And-
very quiet compared to, the old systems.
2-button system, folks. Don't put your fingers there.
Yeah, don't put your fingers there. I don't think anybody would ever want to
No.
do that. No. So anyway, so that was a good thing. It was well explained, to this board. Jack Curtis is, let me see, any future development would require joint water and sewer with the village. So he was concerned how the water is going to be provided. And the gentleman who spoke for this particular company said that they were willing to put their own well in. That's one option. And Fire Chief Schultz said, well, you can connect into our water source too, near the fire department. So that would be an option as well as the sewer. So he said that's something that can be looked into down the line. So anyway, so they're not going to cover that at this particular meeting anyway. Let me see, it was, changes, 2006. Oh, they made a change, the administration from the village made a change back in 2006 or roughly in that period, rather than going through the planning commission process and getting approval, from the village council, to make it industrial, or I'm sorry, residential in that area.
The village?
The village did. And so, that's why they're asking for this to go with industrial. And they've already approached the village, and the village has already approved industrial zoning.
Okay.
So
Doors open.
the door is open. But they're scratching their head. How did this get through, the village council without them approving?
How was the village involved in the first place if this is a township meeting?
Administrative action, whoever the administrator was for the village at that time, gave them the go-ahead to do it, and they approved it and ran it through.
Did they
But-
adjust the borders of the village versus the township? Or
Right,
what?
but now we're not going to light the fire and stick pitchforks up. That was days before. Now they're covering it, for what it is now. And with that, we'll be back right after this, folks.
Okay.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about the Planning Commission for the township.
For the township.
Yep. And Todd Bell, of course, leads that group, at least for this year. And we're saying that they went through a number of different discussions on this property, and you asked me the question when we were off the air, where exactly does the property lie? And I said it's right on the border of the village and the township. So it will require, even if it's built on the village property, require authorization by the township to go forward with it as well.
Right.
There's water issues and so forth. So anyway, so that this was all beat to death. The horse is trying to drag this meeting on, and so the question came up is, what about conditional zoning? Because there are a lot of issues involved with this thing in terms of even screening of the...
What's conditional zoning?
Okay, that's where actually the planning commission can't demand, from a property owner that they do this, this, and this. But the property owner can look at it and look at the concerns that the planning commission has, and they can adjust their request to meet, what's required, and they can get approval on this.
Okay.
So that's the next step, is what they're thinking.
That's the condition?
They have to set the condition. The property owner does.
All right.
And the gentleman that was there representing the property owner, he said that is something that they'd be more than happy to look at, and make a recommendation, to the planning commission in the next meeting, or therefore in the future a little bit.
But that's not like a variance.
That's not, well, it would be approved as a variance, but with conditions that they provide. For example,
Okay.
One thing that came up is what happens once you build this building. All of a sudden, you've outgrown it, you move to another locale out of Oxford. What happens to this building then? And Jack Curtis said, well, it needs to, the zoning needs to be appealed, that somebody cannot go in and make it another stamping plan or whatever they want to do, that this special zoning application has to, it changes the whole outlook of it.
Makes it a hard sell.
Yep. So they said, well, how do you propose to do that? And they said, well, the owner, or the guy representing said, well, I'm sure the owner will be glad to work with you on this one. So they said, well, why don't you go ahead and put it together, what you would like to have and how you propose to go about it, and come back before the planning commission. And he says, yippee-ki-yay, I'm out of here. That's good.
But I'll be back.
I'll be back. Okay. So that being said, that meeting pretty much came to a conclusion. The next meeting I want to talk about quickly is the Oxford Village Council meeting. Sue Bassardit is the chairperson for the village.
Was that a normal meeting?
It's a special meeting.
Special.
Yes, it was. And Dave Bailey serves that board, as does Maureen Helmuth and Eric Dolan, along with Tom Kennis is on that board as well. Sue Bassardit, by the way, does a pretty good job on this board in controlling the meeting. They did, of course, the pledge and all that good stuff that comes with it. Call to the public. Joe Ferrari from the township stood up, and he's concerned that there's a home within the area, a new home that was constructed, and apparently it's on a high-level plane, and the water runs down and is causing problems to the other homeowners, that are below them. And
Water didn't run down before?
Water runs downhill.
No,
but anyway, what's happened?
Before he built the house, it didn't run down?
Didn't run downhill before that, no. But what's happening is the big heavy construction equipment has been traveling across the small ditch, and I don't know if you can call it a ditch, but it's only about 2 inches deep, to channel the water. And as they go across it, they've kind of shut off the flow of water there. So, of course, when he got finished talking, Joe Young, the village manager, said, I'm well aware of the problem. He said, we are going to make sure that ditch is, capable of handling the water. He said, right now it's shut off on one end, and that should not be. And he said, and I've got people involved with it, the DPW at this point. So he said that will be remedied soon. But Joe Ferrari is very adamant in the fact that you don't want to let that happen, that you need to find a correction to it or not allow such a construction to commence.
That's reasonable.
It is reasonable, very reasonable. Okay, so that being said, they put a moratorium on future building until
Of that site?
until this issue is resolved.
But only of
on
that
site.
Okay.
Yeah.
No
Super
more
sorry.
future buildings.
No more future buildings.
It's like, oh, wait a minute.
Of course, the village covers 1 square mile. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So anyway, so Sue Bassardit made a push for that. Good move on her part. Venture building option came up again. Remember, that's been on the agenda for what?
Venture.
Venture.
What was
the
involved
company.
with that? Oh, that's the to repurpose the village offices.
Right, and to provide low, income housing.
Right, right,
For
right.
seniors in that area. And originally they were looking for a 4-story building. Well, now they've revised it. They said they'll go with 3 stories and so forth. And they listened to this for a while. And actually, Eric Dolan says, whoa, wait a minute, hold it, wait a minute. This has been before us, I don't know how many times, and we've turned it down. Why are you here again? So anyway, so that's pretty much what was said. And all the other people on the council, they pretty much agreed.
I guess it goes to the old voting thing.
Which old voting thing?
You can say no, 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 but once you say yes, it's all over.
It is. I can tell you this much, that at a given point, these people will not say yes. So anyway, so they were pretty much sent packing by the time this was done, and pretty much told that this is not going to work. So Tom Kennis, as a matter of fact, pointed out that you're paying $450,000 for the property, but then it's going to be the public may not even break even on that, find another location and so forth, or paying rent,
They could always move to
once it's been
Glassby Street.
remodeled. They could always go to Glassby. And actually, somebody brought that up at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But so there's a lot of different
Just to rub a
options
little
out
salt
there.
in the wound.
Right. And the one thing that really put a halt to everything is that they asked for a pilot program. You know what that is?
You're going to tell me.
Yeah. That's an abatement. You know what abatements are?
You're just coming up with a whole slew of words, aren't you?
This is tricky test time.
Oh,
An abatement.
That means we're going to hold off doing something.
Right. And what's happening is that the guy comes in, the company comes in, they say, we want no taxes for the next 5 years.
That's
If
an
we
abatement.
build here.
They're
That's
going to
an
hold
abatement.
off doing something.
So you, the community, the residents, you get no money, from this development company for that period. And a number of people stood up.
But
Joe Ferrari was the first one on his
there's
feet.
there's usually another side to that story. For this abatement, there is a good thing for the community, and what was that?
Well, I tell you, it could be a good thing for the community, but it could be a bad thing for businesses and other developers in the area. And I'll relate to that because when I was in business up north, they gave abatements in Bay County, and I had people come in that I actually ended up paying my competition to compete with me with taxing. That, I felt, as a business person, was really not the right thing to do. And Joe Ferrari, he came to his feet when he heard that. He said, I'm against abatements. He said, people have applied for them before and they claim, well, they're not going to build here. And guess what? They did build here because it's a great opportunity for people in business.
But they had to try.
They had to try. And of course, Brian Cloutier, from the director of the library, he stood up and he said, I'm against them too, totally. Ron Davis from Parks and Recreation, he said, I'm against abatements as well. So everything being said, they turned it down, and it was long gone. I think that'll be the end of this one for a
So
while.
the yeses will be abated until further notice.
It'll be. So what do you got coming up, buddy?
We do have, well, it's the end of the month, we only have 2 meetings. On 1/31, at 5:30, a joint special meeting of the Oxford Village Council, DDA, and Planning Commission will take place at the village offices. And on February 5th at 7 o'clock, the Village of Oxford Zoning Board of Appeals, and that's that.
That's it. That's it? That's all you got?
That's all I got.
Okay. This is Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
We'll catch you right here next time, right here. Don't go away. We'll
See
be
you then.
back.